Hello friends, how are you doing around the world? In this quick tutorial we're going to use or to create this page in HTML using a bit of JavaScript, and this is just like to-do list or a bunch of tasks that you have to do, or you're gonna do, or what this actually going to do. As you see here on the screen that says in this little box, type something. So let's just type, for instance, Python and click on add. It's going to add her in this part here. So add. Let's add something else like CSS and HTML, for instance, and click in add. It's going to add her here. As you see, if I clicked on one of the adder tasks like this, it's going to show a line through the text, and also add this check mark next to it. And also, as you see here, this is the remove button. If I clicked on it, I could remove it. Alright, I could check it over, and also I could remove the check, and I could remove this task and add here as many as I want of tasks. Remove as many as I want, or click and check as many as I want also. So it is simple. It's just a bit of steps to get into this. And this might be going to find the styling a little bit different from here, because we're going to create from scratch and explain everything. Alright, let me get rid of this and go back to our desktop here. Let's just create a folder and call it, for instance, to-do list or tasks. Let me remove all of these tasks. Alright. Inside of this task, let me create something called here tasks or task.html, for instance. That's it. Let me drag this to my Sublime Text, because I'm using Sublime Text. You could use any Visual Studio or anything to type your code to execute it. Well, it's not really important actually. Alright, let me open this. Now, inside of the just outside HTML, it's going to automatically add all of these tasks. Let's type in the title to-do list, and inside of the body, let's just create our architecture or the structure of the page. Alright. Here, let's just create a div and a header of each one to-do list. To-do list. And let us now create a form to do an input box. Alright, form input. And the type of the input we want a text. And the name, let's just give it task. And the placeholder, like give it type, for instance. And also like give it here an ID of input text. Input value, better. Input value, because here we're going to enter our value. Alright. Now let us create the button by adding span and click here add. And inside of this, we need to implement a function. When we click on add, what will happen? We want to grab this the text that in the input value and grab it, and then to add it in another part in the page. Alright. So on click, we're going to do, like for instance, new element, call it new element. Do this to say this is a function and give it an ID for submit. You could change the name of the function and the submit, and also the placeholder and ID and everything here. You could change it. The thing that you couldn't change here, or better to not change, it is type of the input. We needed the text. We need to implement or to enter a text there, so there ain't no way to change it to another thing like password or anything else. Alright. After that, we're going to create something called another list, like this, UL, and give it a class of UL another list lists, leave it like this. So what's going to happen here? I want the input, the text that we're going to enter inside of this input. We want to grab it and put it inside of here after we click and add. All right. Let me first of all reopen that page. So this is the page. As you see here, the input. If we insert something, we want after onClick to add her in this part. So onClick is going to add her here. So this is what we want to create. And if I click on add, while this part there ain't no text here, I want to display a message to the user to inform them that this text or this input box is empty, contains no text or no letter in it. So if I click here while this is empty, it's going to display this little alert message up here. You must type something. I misspelled the type here, so there ain't no problem. Alright, okay. And if I click on just one letter and add, it's going to enter. But if I click while this is empty, it's going to display this alert message as I said before. So now we want to create some JavaScript. After ending with all of this, we want to create some JavaScript to implement this new element or this function. Alright, script. Inside this script, we need the function called new element. And we want something to happen after on click on this button A, add. So let's grab this input value. We need the input value. So document dot get element by ID here. So document get element by ID, and the ID, I just copy this input value and put it here. So input value, and we need to grab the value that we entered inside of that text box. If I enter something here, I want this value. So to do that, all I have to write after this that value. Like give it here a name or something. So var input value set it equal to this. Then we want to create another element to put it inside of this after clicking on this button add. Alright, we need to create something to enter here. So document that create element and this element, let's call it li. Let's go back here and give it also a variable of li. Now we want to take this value, the value or the text that enters inside of this, to grab it and put it inside this creating element. And this creating element also we want to put it here. Alright, so we're going just step by step. I'm just explaining in general, but we are going through that. Now let's create another element. Call it var taking value equal to document dot create text node, and this text node, it is the input value. Now we want this input value to enter inside of the li. All we have to do is just li dot append child and call the taking value like this. So what I typed here, first of all, I declared a variable and I grabbed the text that I had entered in this input value, in this little box here. I grabbed this text. What I done with it? Nothing. Just grabbed it and bring it to me. This line, I grabbed the text and bring it to me. The next line in li, I create another element to put it inside of this. I didn't put it yet, but I'm going to put it later soon actually. So I create this element just to take the value of this and append it inside of here. That's it. All right. That's what I create here, taking value, and I took the value of here of the input text and I put it inside of here. All right. Now I think it's clear. We could add here a little message like adding the input value to the list, adding the input value to list. And now after taking the value and put it inside of the li, we need to inform the user with something. Before I add the text here, we need to inform the user if this text it is empty or not. If empty or not. Alright. So on add, so if this empty, I have to display this little message up there. So let's comment here like display an alert message while if error empty task, for instance, empty task, like this. Alright, if input value, this input value, if input value equal to nothing, empty string, you have to display this alert message. So to do that, just write alert and say you must type something, like this. Else, if there is something inside of that task, what you're going to do, you're going to implement this li inside of this URL, alright? So how to do that? All you're going to do is document dot query selector What you want to select, we want to select this class, so just pass it here. And what we want to do with this, we want to append the li, like this. That's it. Just this. After alerting, if there is a text, all you gotta do, just grab this text value and put it inside of the UL here. If I went here to open my page, so this task, if I click on add, it displays this message, you must type something. And if I type like this name and click on add, it's going to add here. But as you see that when I clicked on add, the same the name stay here, not going anywhere, just stay there, not going back to the normal, like type something. So we want to, after typing something like Jake, and after clicking on add, we want this Jake to get off, alright? We want this to be empty again. How to do that? It is quite easy. Go behind this or after this and create another element, document. And what we want here, we want this input box. So the input box has the ID of input value. So input value. What we want here, we want its value to be equal to nothing. After adding this to the UL, we want to refresh that part and make it empty. So if I save this and went back to the page and reload it, if I click on add while it's empty, it's going to display this little message up there. Okay, if I typed like this name or these letters here and clicked add, as you see, it went back to a blank, nothing, there ain't no text there. And also if I click here, it's going to display again this little message. Alright. After that, we want to create, after adding, we want to create this removing button. We want, after adding this list, we want to have the ability to remove them or add them as we want. Not any added lists to be stable there, we want to remove them. To do that, it is quite easy. Alright, let's go back here and do a comment, creating. Now we're going to creating. What we're going to create this X for the removing, to remove what we're going to remove on the unwanted list, unwanted or anything lists, like this. So let's just create another element. So the same as we done here with the li, the same as here we're going to do. Document dot create element, like this. And what this element, let's call it span. And let's define it here by span also. And let's give it also, in this span, in this element, or we want to implement inside of it a text of this letter, of this symbol here. Alright? We want to implement inside of it this symbol. This symbol, we could say it's right like this in HTML code. You could just type out for me D7 U00 D7. This is the code of this this symbol here of removing, X symbol. Or you could just add the X button. Alright, let's just create another text node. So document dot create text node for adding the text. We create the text node for adding the text. As I said here, this U00 D7, like this. So let's give it here an I or var of text, like this. Then what we want to give this span an ID to decorate it later. or to add a bit of style into it. So span dot class name equal to close, like this. And then we want to implement this task inside of this. We want that letter X to append it inside of this span that we created. How to do that? As the same as we've done with this li here when we want to append the taken value to it. So span dot append child. What child we want to append? It is the text. Alright. Then we want to append this li next to this text here, input value. If I clicked, I want this to be with this I'm sorry, to be in the same line with the text, alright, like this. How to do that? All you gotta do, just li, bring the li up here, and add to it this span value. So append again, span, like this. Just this. We are now creating the value. If I went back to my do list, I refresh the page, and I enter, for instance, HTML, and I clicked on add. It has to display here this little message. var span document that create element span, and we create the text document that create text node. This then span that class name close. We misspell here the text, so text like this. If I went back here, I reload the page and enter, for instance, add. It, as you see here, there is this letter X next to the adding list or the adding value to this text. It is here. Alright. Now, what we want to do is to make this X activator. We want to click on it to make the display of this list to none, to make it invisible. Alright, to remove it from the page. That is quite easy too. So let's give a comment here and saying when user click. So when someone clicks on the X, what we want to do, we want to remove, so X, remove the list, or remove that list, or remove the list, whatever. Alright, so how to do that? We want to grab something, we want to grab this close, we give it an ID, so we want to grab it, and we want, when we clicked on it, we want something to happen. Alright, first of all, let's just grab this as I said, so document, because we want to make the display here, this is a class name, so we want to make the display to none, so we have to bring it to us, document that, query selector, or you could use that get element by class name. And what we're going to inside of it is just to call this close, because we wanted this close to make the display of it to none after clicking on it. So close, and let's just give it a bar of close too. Alright, now we want to do here a for loop in each element, or in each symbol like this. When we click on it, we want to remove it. In each one, in every single one, when we clicked on it, we want to remove it. So let's just do a for loop, for of I, and for I equal to 0, and I smaller or smaller than close the length, increase it by 1, and then inside of here, close and call the I dot on click. When we click on it, do or run this function here, like this. And this function is, we want the parent of this element. The parent of this element, it is the li, because here we included inside this close element, or it is the span, and we appended inside of the li. So the parent of this element, it is the li, and we want to make the display to none to the entire li, the entire adding list. So here, document, or just this parent element, that parent element, like this. and let's just give it here like a var of div, like this. And we want now this div or this parent element, the li, that style, that display, because we want to make the display to none, equal to none, like this. It is quite easy. Now if we went back to our page and reload it and type something here like HTML and click on add, and when I click on this little symbol here, it should be display none. So as you see here, when I clicked on it, it's gone. There ain't nothing here. So let me just type a bunch of lines here. So HTML and CSS JavaScript, and let's add Python. So that for a loop, it means that every single list, if I clicked on it, is going to display none. So if I choose the CSS, the middle one, and I clicked on it, it's going to display none. And that, because of that loop, if I remove the loop and make the display of this to none, it's just going to display none, just one list inside a bunch of lists. All right, you could do that by yourself. I could do it here. So let me grab this. Let's just go back here and do. Actually, let me comment this, and also remove. Let me just remove this, cut, like this, save it, reload it. If I add something like this, it's not going to add, so close here. You could just do it by yourself. It's not going to remove everyone here. It's just going to remove one list and it's going to stop. Alright, so let me do this. So now it's working perfectly. And you could add as many as you want of lists, or remove also as many as you want of these entered items. Alright. Here, after that, what we want to create a toggle or that checked bar. Now, what we want to do, before this text, here inside of this dot, we want to do that letter check mark, and do a line through, we will click on the list. As here, when I click on it, it is make this letter checked marker to the right, to the left, and also display a line through on the text. So Python, and I could remove it, for instance, like this, and I misspell it here, so I can remove it. So what we want to do now is just to do this. All right. Let's go back to our here, and out of the function, we want to create something. And it is the toggling between this. So here we are toggling, and on this I remove it. Do it, remove it. Do it, remove it. All right. So document dot add event listener, and this event in listener, it is click. Each time we click, we want to run a function, and this function we have to enter inside of an event, like this. And inside of this event, if event dot target equal the text that name tag or tag name of what, of this li. So let me do this. Li is going to apply this. What we're going to apply, we need the event dot target dot class list to generate every class in the list. Alright, the class list, or to generate all the lists. The toggle, we want to toggle in each time we clicked on it. What we want to toggle, and give it a class list of checked, like this. Now we have to create a styling for this check, but when we clicked on that list, it's going to display something. Save it, copy this checked, like go top. I don't know if it was shown on the screen or not, so like go up here and do style. We could separate all of these files. We're going to separate it at the end of this video. to make it easy to read. So dot checked. What we're going to do, we're going to create dot before, because it's going to before the text here. So before like this. And what we're going to do, the content we want to empty, and also for the position we want it to be absolute. And now we want the size of the box to set the size of this box. We could here to add a little like size of the box like this, and we want the height to be 20 pixels, 25 pixels, and for the width we want to be 7 pixels. Now we want to give a box space, all right, inside of it, to give, not inside of it actually, we want to just to push a little bit on the top and the left. So give box space, so let's just give box space or checked mark space like this, and the top, like give it for instance 10 pixels, and for the left, and why exactly left and not right? Because we want in the left, not in the right. Alright, and the left we want to give a, for instance, 16 pixels, just to push it a little bit. Then we want to edit the border of that box. Alright, so edit or border. Let's just set the border. Set the border. So border width. Let's set it to 0, 2 pixels, because we just want it in 2 places, and the others we don't want it. Like this. And for the border style, we want it solid, and for border color, we want to be black, 0, 0, like this. And we want, so if I went here and reload the page and add the text, so not adding yet, but when I clicked on it, it's at top here, it's showing here at the top. So when I click, it disappears. When I click, it's going back. So I'll fix this in a moment. And I'll make a transform to rotate it 40 degrees, 45 degrees. So rotate 45 degrees. If I save it, rerun it, enter the text, and on click, as you see here, it is rotating 45 degrees. I think we are now good to go, and just a bit of, I think that I will remove this lines here. It's not needed anymore. Like this, and like this, and also for here the same. Alright, now I think everything okay. What I'm going to do is rerun the program to see what's going to happen. So on click is going to add this symbol up there. So I'll fix this. As I said, it's quite easy. All you gotta do now, just adding some styling to the button. So that close, we want that close button to give it a position of absolute. So position of absolute. And the top, now we are decorating the remove button, top 0, and also for the right, it is 0. And here that before, so before we styling this, let's end up first with the checked button by adding a line through when I clicked on it. So when I click on it, adding a line through. So dot checked text decoration line through. If I reload it, other text, if I click on it, it disappeared, not disappeared actually. So it's a line on it. If I remove it, there ain't no line, and also for this. Now I'll go to style everything right now. So I'll go to the div, this entire div, give it, so div, text align, center, and the background color, like give it for instance teal blue, like this, and font, family to Arial, and sans serif. If I reload the page, it is cool. I'll go for the body and make the margin 0, heading 0. Alright, cool. And also for here, margin 0. If I summarize it like this, and do some padding of 10%, like this. Now it's better. It's look a little bit like this. So I'm going to change all of that in a moment. So color of white, I'll just remove it here. Now I want to style the to-do list. So each one, we want the color to be white. And for the input and the span, make them a little bit better, greater than that, or bigger. So input, padding of 12 pixels and 5 pixels, and make the width of 200 pixels. Not width. And for the input, I'll just give it here to 10. Now for this span, or an ID that we give here, it is the submit. So submit, padding of 10 pixels and 30 pixels. I think now everything is going to look gorgeous. Resize this to 400. And for here, I'll do the background color to light blue, like this better. And the cursor pointer, and I think it's everything okay. I think now it's everything okay. Let's just go back here and do outline to none, and when I hover this, I want it actually to scale light blue. Let's just make it light green, for instance. When I hover it, green, and transform scale to 0.9. I'll remove the pointer from here. So when it's not going to hover, but we could do this padding, make it a little bit small, and add here the font size to 20 pixels, and here font size to pixels like this, and the padding, let's just reduce it to 9, and here also to 28. If I hover it, if I reload it, so not the hover, so hover. If I hover it, it's going to reduce, as you see, and I make this font size to 19. I'll make it a little smaller than this, like 16 better. And this, it will be 14. When I click on it, it's like moving down in that scroll actually, and that shows it as a button. And then when I click on this text, it's not going to do anything. Alright, so now we want to add some style into this. Alright, how to do that? It is easy also. So let's just go to before checked here. I'll look out for the UL and do text or list type to none, and go for the li and do text decoration, or let's do some padding to 10 pixels, 12 pixels, and for the right and the left, let's make it, for instance, to 30 pixels, like this, and do the background color to light gray. Well, let's just bring some kind of color from this page, HTML colors. Let's bring this color here, and also li nth child or background color to this color. Alright, cool. And I want it, when I hover it, it's to be cursor. So cursor to be pointer. I think now it's going to be cool if I click in this name and header, a color, and this another color. And in UL, there was some margin, the top 5% and the right and the left to 20%. If I reload it and added some lists, it's going to display in the center. It's just the color a little bit bad, but there ain't no problem with it. And I want, when I hover the li, to do background color different, so light gray, for instance, like this. And for the remove button, dot close, that floated to the left, float to the right actually. If I reload the page and I clicked on this, it's going to display in this part here. We could do the font size of it, or we could give it a position of absolute. So position absolute and top. I think it's going to float at the top of the page out of that list. So 0, and also for the right, it's going to be 0. If I reload this and enter again, it's going to display here at the top, as you see, at the top of the page. I'll go here, I'll do the position to relative. If I think now should be displayed here. Now I'll go with here, all the text align to center, the text line I want to center, and remove this float right. So if I click something, it's still here. So let's do now to it some padding to 12 pixels and 12 pixels and left to right. And the background color, let's just show any background color up to now. Background color, for instance, a red, to show it when it's going to display. Let's do some font size to 20 pixels, and color to white. And this, if I reload it and do this and do this, it's bigger a little bit at the top, so I'll make it to 10, and here I'll make it to 13. Now if I reload it to see, it's looking perfect, and I could reduce a little bit here to 9 actually. Now this background color of red, I'll grab it. I'll make the font weighted to bolder. And when I hover hover, I want to display this red color. So when I hover the entire list, so if I click on the list, as you see here, this check mark is next to it. I'll add I'll read it more just a few later. When I hover the remove button, it's going to give me this letter red, and I could remove it like this. So now we're just playing with the styling, nothing else. So here the problem is I typed Windows instead of with, so just TH, and then go back here left, I'll give it to 30 pixels, and the LI I'll give it to 40 pixels. So if I reload it and I've entered this big text to it, and I am clicked on it, so it's a little bit far, so like return to 15 or 16. Reload, on click, it displays this check mark here, and also I'll click on it. It's quite cool actually. And also for the button, and you could add as you want of lists. It's quite not really meta, so let's just add much more, and you could add as many as you want, and you could either more than this actually by just styling it. Let's just go back to the div and grab this and make it for the entire page up here. And what else? Let's make the font size a little bit bigger of this list, to make a little bit bigger here to font size. Let's make it to 30 pixels, for instance. If I now reload, unclicked, it's going to show bigger, and I clicked, it's going to disappear. And you could actually make it to be more spread on the page by reducing the margin in the UL here, make it to 10, for instance. Now if I redone the same process, it's going to display, and the button here is going to like it's smaller size a little bit, and you could also add some margin to it more than that in this close button by adding the padding of the top to 12 or 15. And For the left, let's just make it also 50. If I save it and reload it faster and enter, it's going, I need more space at the top here, so let's just 18. And also here, let's just make it to 20. So let's just, the last time, and you could play around with it as many as you want. So now I think it's cool. And if I clicked on it, I could add as many as I want. So Python, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and so on. If I clicked on the page, it's going to disappear, and if I remove it, it's going to remove. Alright, cool. Now what I'm going to do is just to separate all of these files and create each one by itself. So inside of this, I'll create another new file, and I call it style.css. Save it. I grab all the CSS in this page, like this. Pass it here and save it. Select all. Just save it, and I'll just link it to the HTML page link, and here style.css, save it, and the same thing for JavaScript. Create another file called main.gc, save. Let's save it also again, save as main.gc, and go back here and copy or cut the entire JavaScript in this page. Go back here, and you're going to find all of this documents in GitHub repository, my GitHub repository. Everything is going to find it there. Also the links you're going to find in the description. All you're gonna do, just go to that little box down there, and you go find everything you want. So here, I'll do source of main.gc and save it. Now, this is the page right now, how it look, and I have a separate JavaScript file. This is the JavaScript file, and also for the styling file, this is the styling file. All right. Now, if I went here and I reload it, nothing going to change. I just separate them. So if I type something like this and click on add, it's going to add as we already expected. And if I clicked while this input box is empty, it's going to display the other message up here. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you later.